Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the YouTube channel. If you're tuning in and watching this, thanks for checking this out. I wanted to make more, closer together, updated videos on the car. It's been hard. I've had a lot of stuff going on, a lot of small jobs coming in and out of the shop, going out, job quoting some things, making small parts, selling my products. But trying to get everything done and then make videos, it doesn't work out sometimes. But I'm trying my best. So. In the future, I'd like to make more videos about when I install the wheel tubs and, the parachute mounts, the drag wings, stuff like that. But for right now, I'm gonna flip the camera around and I'm gonna show you where I'm at so far with the build, and I'll explain to you what the next steps are from there. So here's where I'm at with the car so far. So driver's compartment, you can see the back half is basically completed. In the rear, and the floor pans are in. So I got, I used the LMR or CJ's Pony Parts. I forget who we got them from, but they're the two half pans. And we molded those from the rocker panel to the center frame rails in the car. And it's stitched along the center frame rail here. It's all mounted nice and solid up along the rocker. And those are super lightweight because they don't have any of the seat bracing, the trans-tunnel bracing and all that stuff on them. And that worked out nicely. But you can see a sneak peek of the double frame rail here. I'll take the panels off in a little bit and show you what's going on there. But there's also a scatter tube that runs down through here. So it runs from the back of the tail shaft of the trans to where it exits into the back half. And that just protects the driver if there's any drive shaft failure. It dissipates all of its energy inside the tube and doesn't allow it to hit the driver. So I did that, and then this is steel behind the driver to help protect, the kidney area, the thigh area, the lower back area. And up front, we have a Shonet Composites dash. It's the first time I've ever used one of his dashes on a double frame rail. I've used other companies, but they're usually they're not as deep in this area. And there is the factory heater control mount area. And it looks really nice because it almost makes the double frame rail section look like a center console when you stand back, And it fit up real nice. We did it with quick latches, the minis. So there's 3 of those, and you just pop those. You slide the dash back. You can service whatever's mounted underneath of it. I'm sure he'll have electronics mounted back there, but right now it's just the master cylinder and reservoirs that's behind that. And yeah, so the only real thing I have left in the front half of the cage is the outer halo bar that's going to go right here, and then the helmet guard that's going to go across, and the parachute lever. So I'll do that, and then I'll mount the tabs for the cable and all that good stuff. And mounted off of the scatter tube is his shifter mount, so the Timwork will be able to separate and lift off, and he can still leave the shifter intact, which is nice. The scatter tube is also completely removable. So if he ever wants to take that out, service anything, that comes out as well. All of the panels on the double frame rail section are removable, which is nice because he can work on the trans linkage. He can go on the other side, work on the dump valves, whether they're mounted inside the trans tunnel or outside in the passenger compartment. But it just gives him options on, when he gets the driveline in, we can mount tabs in different places for him, and there's a lot more options. Just having that nice and open in there, and with the tubing on the backside, lots of places to weld tabs and different stuff. But you can see I'm working on the Timwork back here. It's still got the laminate on it, so it kind of looks like crap compared to this with the laminate off of it. But that just keeps it nice and protected, so that when you're bead rolling it, bending it, it doesn't allow it to scratch, and it actually ends up having like a real beautiful matte finish to it. I can get this stuff in like 100 different colors, so the colors are endless. But the flat black with when the cage is all painted up just ends up looking stellar when it's all finished. But in the back half here, the only thing really left to do is put a couple gussets in between here to support where the parachute tether is going to be. Mounted a Shonet Composites carbon bumper on the back here, and what I did was, inside so behind this, you have to actually cut the quarter panel off to get this bumper to fit on, and it fits up beautifully. I mean, there's really not much trimming in the area here, just a little bit of massaging to get the body lines to fit up real nice. But underneath of the actual bumper itself, I mounted a strip here with quarter 20s loaded in through the backside, and then it's panel bonded together. It's sandwiched and panel bonded. You can see the Cleco holes from when it was being panel bonded. And what that'll do is when it fastens to the quarter that way, he'll be able to pull it tight and there'll be no wave in the body line. It'll, you know, once this is all dressed out, it'll just look like a factory molding on the back there. But underneath of the bumper in this area, under the tail light section, I mounted my my scallop strips in here. And what's nice about that is when he puts the tail lights on, you won't see any countersunk fasteners, you won't see anything like that. It'll just be the tail light, so nothing in the center in the license plate area. And that's really it for that thing. The tin work will connect to the bottom of the bumper and back up into the tubing and the tin work. And we're gonna end up mounting large carbon tubs in the back here. We're just waiting for those to get finished and come in. There's a local guy that makes different styles of carbon. He does beautiful work. So I'll post his stuff up on there if anybody's interested as well when that's when they're getting fitted in the car, and try to make some videos of that as well. But yeah, sorry about the shop. Shop's a mess. I'm supposed to clean that today. But you can see on here how the tin work kind of molds in a little more with that panel. I have the panel out on the other side. I have to window it a little bit for the seat and then put like a recessed like little piece in there to close it off, and it'll look nice and sleek when it's all finished. But the tube front's finished. It's got new boxes in this area. This was all rotted out, so I had to cut all that out, and I replaced the boxes. I think that's just it's a nice clean look instead of having this all wide open and you know, kind of massage that way. It kind of, I feel like it completes the front end when it's off. But the tube front is the tube front's basically complete except for the lower front hoop here. I just got to wait for his front end to get some measurements, and then we'll make the removable section I was talking about. It'll have 2 more removable flanges down here, kind of like what's going on back there. So right in front of the mid plate, there is a 2-bolt removable flange on each end, and that's just tying the double frame rail into the Racecraft K member, and I think that looks good. It'll definitely help stiffen stuff up. And then in the front, we cut back the aprons, so you can see that these usually come out to the inside of the frame rail. So we cut them back so he has more service room to work on the spark plugs and stuff like that. And then the caps on the top of the strut towers are for the Racecraft billet mounts. And then also you can see the K-member bolts are coming through the center there. The frame rails were shaved, the tops were shaved, and then it was capped just to make it a cleaner look and make them a little stronger. But yeah, it's basically, other than I'm going to redo the motor mounts. So the motor plate mounts are Racecraft mounts. They're not really intended for having a capped top plate. So I'm going to take those off, and I'm going to CNC a set and put them on here. It'll look a lot nicer, and I think it'll, you know, even though it won't be seen, it'll just be, you know, it'll just be a lot cleaner looking. But here's the Racecraft column that's coming through here. I like that because there's no grommet. Like I said, there's nothing wrong with anybody else's stuff, but I really like the Racecraft because it's a solid plate, and once you bolt it in, you can even put a little bit of seam sealer around it or something to really make it, you know, airtight in that area. And that's where a lot of the fire comes through. If something happens, is the driver's legs get burned up from coming in this area here. On the sides of the main hoop for the mid plate, it's all transitioned down under the body. So once the belly pan and everything's on, there's going to be nowhere for a fire to get in the car. But it's coming along nice. I'm going to pop the dash off, take the seat out and the double frame rail panels, and show you what's mounted underneath of that. So now this is what it looks like with everything removed. You can see what's going on the double frame rail a little better. You can see the master cylinder reservoir is mounted up high. The master cylinder itself is below. You know, it's just enough to get the proper amount of gravity feed to the master cylinder itself. And you can see the steel tin work behind the driver and the transition between the floor pan and the double frame rail center, or the center lower frame rails. You can definitely see the color difference when you use 70 S2 like I did here on the quarter turn strips, and then the silicone bronze used to weld the sheet metal. And yeah, same thing on these guys. I use 70 S2 here on the quarter turn mounts down lower also. But these are nice. I make them in 2 different on centers, and they're made for the 1-inch springs for the quarter turn fasteners, and you're usually not going to use a 1 3/8 spring on something like that. It's really big. There's no need. That's mainly for mounting like deck lids and stuff like that. But yeah, so this is what we got going on. You can see the two the upper seat mounts. You can see the two lower seat mounts come through the floor. Still got to patch the floor areas up and everything in the floor pans. But I make these plates here, and they contour the body of the reservoir pretty nicely. I weld the bolts on from the back side, and then that just so you don't need a backup wrench or anything. You just use the nut, and it helps with ease of removal. And you can see the split collar that I used here. Welded some tubing to the split collar up to the dash bar, and then there's going to be another one that goes to the back up to the forward bar, and weld to that, and it'll help stiffen any in and out movement. But this is going to get shaved off here. This is the factory location mount. That'll be all gone, and it'll just it's just not needed. No point in even keeping it. But the master cylinder mount. So I bent up a little piece here that goes around it. It's a lot cleaner looking than just a bunch of tubes and stuff coming down to hold the mount. Or I didn't want it mounted up on the dash bar because of where we planned on mounting the reservoirs at and everything. But there's a big gusset here. It's hollowed out in the center to make it a little lighter, and then in the back there, I don't know if I can get an angle on it, but there is a stub welded up from, can't really see it, maybe I can get a shot from the other side, but there's a stub welded up from this bar that's bent up to the crossbar that supports the mid plate mount. So that's that. And then in the back of the car, we'll go back here again. There's a small detail. I like to picture frame all of the scallop strips because I just think that looks cleaner. Not like, once again, not like anybody's gonna see it, but when you're under the car making suspension adjustments and stuff, it's just a little more pleasant to see that than just a bunch of patch stuff, instead of like having, a small strip here, a small strip on the top, small strip on this side, and then on the front. It's nice having it nice and solid, and they don't weigh much at all, so you're maybe saving ounces or something in that area. So there's no real, just take the extra time and just mold it in real nicely. And once it's welded and massaged, it'll look great when it's all painted up. But a little tech tip here. So if you ever mount any type of like quarter turn strip or anything like this, use a straight edge across the tube. So if you want the sheet metal to sit nice and flat to the tube here, you're going to lay a straight edge across the edge. You're going to pre-mark where you want your welds to start and welds to stop, and the distance in between them all the way down from back to front, all the way up. And then what you do is you'll just take the straight edge, you'll slide the strip up underneath of the straight edge and onto the center line of the bar, and you just pinch it, and you'll fuse the tack in the front or in the back, and you'll fuse the tack up in the front. And then you'll just start tacking along your weld marks. And then by the time that's all done, you just fill your welds in. You move around, fill your welds in, don't overheat the area, and then your strip's in. Stops the strip from warping, doing all that stuff, and your sheet metal will sit nice and flush across the bar center line. That's how I like to do it. You can do it differently, but that's what I like to do. But yeah, that's really what we have going on in here so far. And then on my table, I just got this in. We're going to be mounting a 20-inch ARPC wing right on the back of the car, and I'm waiting to mount the deck lid, obviously, because it needs to be mounted to the deck lid, and I want the parachute distance. We're going to be running dual chutes in the back of the car, and I want to see how it's going to work out. But I'm developing these. So back in like 2011, 12, somewhere around there, I developed a set for some 15 and 16-inch drag wings. So these are going to be for the 20-inch carbon wing, and I'll see how these work out strength-wise. And we might be mounting this wing strutless as well, and then maybe doing like a support or two off of the parachute mounts and all. But yeah, this is where we're at so far with the car. Stay tuned. I'm trying to make more videos. I would like to do a little more in-depth stuff if I can find the time, but I definitely plan on doing stuff like that in the future. I'd like to do a couple how-to videos, but we'll see where that leads me. I'm just gonna keep trucking on this thing and keep updating. And if you guys, you guys like the videos, comment, like, and subscribe. I really appreciate whoever's watching this, and I thank you all for your time. Take care.